Super cool one for you guys today. A lot of times the issue with our picking isn't that we haven't jammed out enough 3-note per string patterns and sequences and all that nitty-gritty liquid Petrucci style stuff, but it's that we're not traveling properly. And I think there's a couple things here that not everybody talks about all the time that might really help you out. So first of all, let's just go through a little checklist. We're going to make sure we're holding onto the pick, pointer and thumb, no dramatic curling, and we want to make sure that we're not tilted this way or this way, but we're staying really neutral, because as we travel through strings, we want to make sure that our rotation in our wrist helps create a little bit of clearance or distance from the strings so that we can miss the next string and come and pick that next string. Because sometimes we have to jump over a string to pick it, and we want to make sure that rotation creates clearance for traveling. If we're not neutral, we can't rotate to generate clearance. That was a big thing for me. And the other thing is obviously making sure we don't have any weird bends one way or the other, but we're pretty straight and neutral in the arm and the whole wrist as a unit. And from there, I just want you guys to recognize that as you're picking, you're not trying to extend your wrist or bring your wrist up to travel through the strings, but we're letting our arm and everything as a unit just gently a little bit move, so that we're not getting out of shape. And so that way we can pick one way over 6 strings. And I'm not trying to have you pick 6 different ways, but we can keep that nice neutral position that creates that rotation, that creates that clearance. So without further ado, let's get into trying some things out. The first thing that we want to look at before we get into the complicated intro riff is just being able to alternate through all 6 strings. So starting with the down, alternating down, up, down, up, down, up. You can see there's a slight movement up here, and there's a slight extension in the elbow. Really, it's better just to have the whole thing move and not to be changing angles like this. I would say I'm probably not even perfect at this, but at least I'm not sitting here and trying to bend my wrist down to get there. But I'm letting a little bit of movement carry me. Down, up, down, up, down, up. And I'm trying anyways not to be super biased one way or another. Keeping that pick kind of pointing straight at the guitar so the rotation can take me where it needs to take me. It's okay to have a slight clockwise rotation, a little bit, and the shredder kind of tilts. That's totally fine. But we're talking about forward or back, leaning in this plane. We want to be kind of fixed to the guitar's plane. So, and once we've got that rocking, from that up on the bottom, we can continue to alternate back up through. Whoops. Whoops. It's harder than it looks. Now you might watch your pick, study it, make sure your motion's good, but don't get stuck in the habit of staring at that pick as you're going. Make sure that you're pretending to look over at the left side of the guitar, because we want this mapping of these 6 strings to be really good. We want to have a nice subconscious muscle memory type feeling for that. And then once that's rocking, you can obviously jam it over a chord as well. A little sloppy there, but you get the idea, just to make it a little more exciting. Sometimes what we're playing might require us to make bigger leaps on the pick. So to kind of take this exercise to the next level, instead of just going down and back up, we're going to create more of a sequence of it. And so the logic here is going to be just to travel 4 strings, still alternating, starting with the down, down, up, and then start over from the 5th string instead of the top string. Down, up, down, up. So we have... And there's a little string skip that happens when we come and start from the 5th string. Down, up, down, skip. And now we're going to do skip again. We're going to end up starting our 4-string sequence from the 4th string. So... just this little roll. I find I get a frictiony part of my skin and I'm rolling around on it to get control and not to be free floating and jackhammering that arm around. But there's just this little roll that can happen. You can use the horn or the bevel of your guitar to create a little bit of friction and find the sweet spot for you. And now once we come through that, we can take that even a step further. Off of this up, we can do 4 strings coming back. Up, down, and then we can start that from the 2nd string. Up, down, that creates a skip as well. Up, down, skip, up, down, skip, and I'm going to start it from the 3rd string even. Up, down, So that's 1st string, 2nd string, 3rd string. Doing 4 strings at a time. And so we can practice these 2 halves, get really rock solid. Then coming up, that was a little sloppy. We get the idea, and then we can glue and marry these 2 things together. Yeah, it's okay to watch that right hand sometimes, make sure it's doing the right thing, but then of course practice, stare out into the space or stare at that left hand like you're watching what's going on the fretboard. We don't want to get in a habit of staring here, but we want to create that subconscious roadmap of what's happening on that right hand. So that should hopefully help you guys out. And now, just to make this something that you're more likely to actually practice, we want to do something cool with it, create some cool vocabulary with it. And that's where the intro riff comes in. I'm just putting together some fun shapes that I think sound great. And making almost like a chord progression of sorts out of it, which I would encourage you guys to do. Pull up a key on the guitar, maybe just pull up a fretboard diagram and pick out strings and notes you think sound cool over this sequence, so you can do something fun and useful with it, and you're not just torturing yourself mercilessly. So hopefully you guys found that interesting. So what we're going to do is let's throw the intro tab up there and the intro riff, and you can just pause and look at it. I don't want to bore you with, put your finger here, put your finger there. I think you can just look at it and map it out, and let me know if you guys have any questions. All right, peace. Huge thanks to all the subscriptions, by the way. I just can't believe how many people are jumping on and giving me a follow. So I'm going to try to put out like 2 or 3 videos a week. Hopefully you guys can let me know what's the most interesting things to you. I think, taking that step from intermediate advanced to more expert in terms of vocabulary and just being a stylish player and getting the fretboard to be a more fluid and mapped out thing is sometimes where teachers can fall flat, and where I had to really grind and figure out how I was going to get to that next step. So hopefully I can help you guys make this whole process a little easier and fun and give you things to try out each week. So yeah, thank you so much for subscribing. Take care, and let me know if you have any questions.